Thursday night in downtown Montreal, and the Vancouver Canucks are rolling into town to face a Canadiens team that is coming off a 2-0 shutout win 2 nights ago against the Calgary Flames. They are 3-1-1 in their last 4 with points in their last 4 of their last 5 games. Prior to the opening faceoff of tonight's game, there is going to be a special presentation and ceremony as the Canadiens are going to be honoring Olympians from both teams. Here's a reminder of the Canadiens who are headed over to Sochi at the end of this week. Let's join the public address announcer now here at the Bell Center.
Qui seront en route vers Sochi pour représenter avec honneur les couleurs de leur pays. Fans, the Olympic Games represent the pinnacle of athletic excellence throughout the world. Tonight, we welcome 12 athletes who will head to Sochi and represent their country. Tout d'abord, des Canucks de Vancouver, de la Suisse from Switzerland, Rafael Diaz. Des États-Unis from the United States, Ryan Kessler. De la Suède from Sweden, Alex Edler. Et Daniel Sedin. Et du Canada from Canada, Roberto Luongo. Et maintenant des Canadiens de Montréal from the Montreal Canadiens. De la Slovaquie from Slovakia, Peter Budaj. De la Russie from Russia, Alexei Yemlin. De la Russie from Russia, Andrei Markov. Des États-Unis from the United States, Max Pacioretty. De la République tchèque, from the Czech Republic, Tomáš Plekanec. Du Canada, from Canada, Carey Price. Et du Canada, from Canada, PK Subban. Souhaitons à ces athlètes un parcours olympique à la hauteur de leur aspiration. Mesdames et messieurs, ladies and gentlemen, vos Olympiens, your Olympians.
A couple of other members of the Montreal Canadiens organization who will also be making the trip to Sochi. That is Pierre Gervais, longtime athletic trainer for the Montreal Canadiens. You just saw Dominic Saillant as well going over there as a media relations role. Here are your starting netminders. Roberto Luongo from Montreal has lost his last 3 starts, and in the last loss on Tuesday against the Boston Bruins, he said, "That one was on me." Carey Price has 2 shutouts in his last 4. He is red hot, and that is going to be a marquee matchup to watch tonight. Jamie, the referees are Eric Furlat and Dean Morton. Michel Cormier and Brian Mock are the linesmen, and we're underway here. Final home game for the Canadiens prior to the Olympic break. Both of these teams have 2 games remaining. They'll both be in action on Saturday as the puck is dumped into the Vancouver zone. Back to get it is Rafael Diaz, who scored a goal the other night, the only goal for the Canucks in Boston, and his first goal since last season.
Carey Price, people are talking about the return to form of him. January, yes, there were some inflated numbers, but as you go through it, there were some real defensive deficiencies in front of him. He's had a Vezina season, and he's proving it certainly in February. He's been terrific, locked back in, refocused, heading over to Sochi.
To take nothing away from Price, I think the team has found its style of play again, its systems.
Yes, and you know what? Sometimes you just close up those seams, you feel a lot more comfortable with your game. And then the trust factor comes back too. When you're the starting goaltender, and I've dealt with a lot of them, and one of them's on the ice right now in Roberto Luongo, you need to trust what's going on in front of you. The options coming at you. If you start cheating towards maybe a second and third option, you open your game up and you start to play a little bit deeper. Can't do that. Carey Price has been strong in locking in that first shot.
Second straight face-off inside the Vancouver blue line. This has been a team that is really struggling to score goals. And now they're without Henrik Sedin, who's been in and out of the lineup of late with a bruised rib injury that he suffered a few weeks ago against the Phoenix Coyotes. He took a shot from Martin Hanzal. And then you heard the news in our opening. He is not going to play at the Olympics. Puck is rung around the boards and knocked down by Georges. Tries to keep it contained. There's Jordan Schrader, number 45, in with Alex Burrows and Daniel Sedin. This will be the de facto #1 line, or one of them anyway, for Vancouver. Daniel Sedin, no goals in his last 17. A long, lengthy drought by his lofty standards, longest of his career. Sedin cycles it back. Round the boards it goes. Stepping up for it is Ryan Stanton, who wears number 18 for the Canucks. He's been a real nice find for them. John Tortorella with a lot of good things to say. Here comes Desharnais, who's got a break down the right side, but the puck bounced away from him. Has to wait for some help, and he can't get it to Pacioretty. Comes to the line. There's a one-timer. They pull it back. This is Nathan Beaulieu, moves in, shoots, and that's blocked right in front of him by Stanton. Stanton struggling with the puck in his own zone. Lars Eller came quickly off the bench. Here's Brandon Prust. Prust up the boards to Beaulieu. Here is Prust out there with Eller and Bork. This is the line that scored first against the Calgary Flames on Tuesday night. Beaulieu quickly moves it up to Bork. Bork had the goal. He moves in, takes a shot, and that goes past the glove hand there of Luongo into the corner where Richardson chops at it, turns it over, and this line applies some more pressure for the Canadians. That one takes a bounce right in behind the Vancouver net to Jan Solve. Jan Solve, a 24-year-old rookie defenseman, playing in his hometown here. He's wearing number 47, one of the recent call-ups from Utica of the American League. His partner, Frank Corrado, those two played together in the American League. And John Tortorella hoping for some consistency on that pairing.
Well, David Desharnais gets a chance down the wall because Frank Corrado pinches down and nobody covers up for him. Ends up trying to put a seam to Max Pacioretty going hard, and then it's broken up by Garrison. But that's the danger when you have younger defensemen back there pinching down. With a good pass, you can catch them and head the other way.
Ron White's waved out of the face-off circle. Michael Bournival comes in to take the draw. He's out there with the former Vancouver Canuck, Dale Weiss, who was, as you might expect, excited about this game tonight. There's a rebound right out in front for White. Ryan White, a whale of a game the other night. His first game since January 2nd. That fourth line was quite effective, and White had 6 shots on net. And he's got the puck now. Puck goes up in the air. White chops at it, trying to get away from Tom Sestito. Rafael Diaz stepped up, and White battles for it, and it rolls back to Markov. Off the skate of Sestito, and back into the corner. And this one floats down the ice, and back to get it is Diaz. You're going to see a lot of Diaz tonight. He played close to 26 minutes, well, 25 and a half on Tuesday night against the Bruins. Here's Jannik Hansen now. Sharp-angled shot goes off a stick and wide of the mark. Stanton steps up to try to keep it in. Up to center ice. Here comes a 2-on-1 break. Chiozza finds the late man of Georges. His wrist shot blocked by Garrison and into the corner. Hansen now back the other way. Tries to step around Plekanec, gets the puck deep, but Georges quickly moves it to Subban. Chiozza giving a bump from behind, can't find it at his feet before Ryan Kessler comes in. The U.S. Olympian got it back to the point. There's the drive and the save by Price.
The Vancouver Canucks, their struggles, look at the numbers thrown around here. When you're scoring under 2 goals a game, shots not generating a ton, but the power play is just non-existent. The penalty kill should be mid-80s, almost high 80s. And the amount of third period goals, not getting it done whatsoever. And you find a way to do it or find a way to generate some offense. There's not enough consistency in their lineup right now. Try and make that happen.
That record of 4-11-2 is the worst record in the NHL since January 1st. Sedin can't keep it in. That goes off of his stick and outside the line. Back out to center. Backing up is Diaz. He had Patch already pressuring him. Now here comes Jordan Schrader. Schrader, a first-round pick in the 2009 draft. He's battled injuries all season long. Had to have ankle surgery after breaking it way back in October. So this is just his 6th game back and 9th game of the season. Sedin to Schrader. Trying to return feed back to Sedin into traffic, and it's turned back by the Canadians. Here comes Eller. Drops it off for Brendan Gallagher. Moves in. His shot. Rolls in towards Luongo, and it's steered away to the sideboards and chopped out. Nathan Beaulieu goes back and forth with Douglas Murray. Beaulieu is one of the reasons why Diaz became expendable. They like what they see from their first rounder. Back there is Jan Sauvé. Sauvé, who grew up just outside the downtown Montreal core. Former St. John Jr. played for Gerard Gallant there. In fact, he was a defense partner with Beaulieu.
Well, I like the fact that Nathan Beaulieu has pushed people out because he deserves that chance, and he certainly earned it.
Zack Kassian with a hard snapshot, wide of the mark, off of the end boards. Zack Kassian, another first-rounder himself, formerly of the Buffalo Sabres, and they are waiting for consistency to kick into his game. He's a big body that can be effective. Tortorella really wants to see some more consistency and better decisions from him, and he makes one right there, dumping it off, but the return feed is broken up by Ryan White on the back check. There's Zach Dalpe with a turnaround, sharp-angled shot, and Price makes that save.
Brad Richardson on the bench here, certainly in some distress as he gets hit in front of the net, in front of Carey Price. Vancouver Canucks cannot afford another injury. As Richardson going to the net, Douglas Murray gives him a forearm shiver right there in the chin, loses his glove, and certainly in some distress. Now Murray, that's like running into a brick wall. He's 250 pounds, so we hope that Richardson's all right for the Vancouver Canucks. He's a pretty tough character, but John Tortorella cannot lose another experienced forward up front.
A veteran forward who was not in the lineup on Tuesday night against the Boston Bruins, back in there tonight, almost out of necessity. Chris Higgins is also back in. He missed the Boston game. What a rash of injuries Vancouver is dealing with right now. Here's Alex Edler. Edler is headed to the Olympics, but he will miss the first 2 games for Sweden. Tell you about that in a moment. Here's Pascal Pelletier, a 30-year-old journeyman who's played the last 3 seasons in Switzerland. Here comes Bonival. Bonival into the high slot for Weiss. Weiss gets a shot away. Luongo takes a peek behind him. And Dale Weiss, the former Vancouver Canuck, coming close. Best chance of the game so far. But it's 0-0 between the Canucks and the Canadians on TSN. Well, 6:29 into the game. Here's the first shot, and it's from Dale Weiss.
Well, it's a nice little play by Bournival to find him, and then pops it right through Diaz and almost squeezes it through that 6-hole of Roberto Luongo. And then a little look back, maybe a comment, almost slid through, a little smile, letting Louis know he almost had him. But nice little play, good hands in tight by Dale Weiss. Almost scores on his former team. That would have felt real nice for him.
Monday morning, he was at the morning skate in Detroit as a member of the Vancouver Canucks. Got pulled off and went into John Tortorella's office and found out that he was now a Montreal Canadian. Hustled here, was in the lineup on Tuesday night, and there he is coming close against his former teammate. There's a drive from Yebelin, knocked down by Higgins, another former Canadian. In fact, a former Canadian first-round draft pick. Played his first 3 seasons here in Montreal, and Tortorella has a lot of good things to say right now about Higgins. Now he is playing. And this guy right here, Ryan Kesler. Kesler on his backhand, banks it off of the boards. Waiting for it is Hansen. Hansen goes to the near point. Garrison quickly moves it across. There's a shot and a tip on Price. And Price had to come across and make another stop. Good shift here by Vancouver. Garrison with a blast. He can hammer it. And that one hits a body, goes into the corner. Stanton now. He'll take a drive. That's deflected in on Price. And he will take no further chances and cover up.
You can see Alexei Emelin, the bleeding beak right there, as he collides with Chris Higgins. Right here, Emelin's going to step up. Higgins gives him a little bit of shoulder. Higgins didn't even have a stick because he went to snap it in and broke it. He ends up collecting a stick and getting a chance on Carey Price. Emelin in a little distress on the bench, but he's not leaving. He's a tough character.
Schrader back out there to take that draw in the offensive zone for Vancouver, but this one's pushed out to center and beyond. In past Diaz. First man to the puck is Brandon Trust. Trust in the corner, can't contain it. Schrader digs it free, and here is Diaz. Diaz with a quick pass up to center, chipped in there by Daniel Sedin. Daniel is 2 points away from 800 in his career. His brother's already there. Alex Edler's hit hard there by Rennie Bourque. Crowd reacting there.
That's what you need more from Rennie Bourque. Physical presence that gets him involved in the game emotionally, and then he starts to show up on the scoreboard.
Well, he showed up on the scoreboard a couple of nights ago, and that relieved a little bit of pressure for Bourque, a guy who's struggled to get some goals of late, but that ended up being the game winner.
Well, it's a physical hit by Bourque, and Emelin heading off, so he certainly is in a little bit of distress. But this play, Rennie Bourque through the body, crushes Edler as he tries to ring it around. And I don't know if Rennie Bourque does enough of this consistently. I think he can win a lot of fans over. If he's not scoring, you got to bring something else to the table. He's a big, strong body. You can get 3 or 4 of those type of hits in a game. It will change a lot of thinking and a lot of minds around Montreal about him.
We'll keep our eyes on Alexei Emelin as well in that situation. Boy, a lot of teams are losing guys here just to be on the eve of the Olympics. A lot of teams are having to adjust their rosters. Here comes Max Pacioretty with a head of steam down the right side. He's got Gallagher with him. Snaps a shot, and Luongo makes a good blocker save on the Montreal Canadiens' leading goal scorer, Max Pacioretty. Sauve battling along the near boards there along with Gallagher. Goes through the legs of Pacioretty, but he stays with it. Got it to Subban at the far point. He puts it into traffic. Loose puck. Pacioretty takes a shot. It goes up in the air. Into the corner. Still banging away at it. Now here's Gallagher. Gallagher is from Vancouver. Born in Edmonton, but raised in Vancouver. Here's Markov. He takes a shot again into a whole bunch of sticks and legs in front of Luongo. Back out to center it comes.
Terrific loose puck battles there by that line of Desharnais, Gallagher, and Pacioretty. Getting a little puck possession, and then you end up getting a shot on goal. But the catalyst is Brendan Gallagher. Not big, but very strong on the boards.
Ryan White hammers Stanton along the end boards, and he is very slowly making his way to the bench. White just crushed him. Now Stanton has to stay out there with Montreal pushing the puck back up. Now it sends into the Montreal zone. Price out of his net to handle it. Pushes it up the right wing boards for Dale Weiss. Fourth line back on the ice for the Canadiens. Here's Bonival. Bonival trying to turn the corner on Garrison. He wasn't able to beat him. Now Zach Dalpe comes back the other way. The former Carolina Hurricane just gets to center and dumps it in. Josh Georges, Mr. Reliable back there for the Canadiens. Back and forth with Murray. Defensive pairing's probably a little mixed up right now with Emelin out of the mix, at least momentarily. Left the bench moments ago. Here's Alex Edler with a long lead pass into the skates there of Hansen. And into the Montreal zone. Off the boards, Plekanec can't handle it, but gets some support from the back end, and now Gionta at center makes one move, then another, but Plekanec was just a step in over the line, and it's offside. Still no score at the Bell Center between the Canucks and the Canadiens on TSN. Canada's first game at the Olympics is 1 week from today, but Carey Price, I don't know if he's thinking about it that much. Here's Jessica Rusnak.
Dave, yesterday, Carey Price said he's not viewing tonight's game as him versus Luongo. The only thing he's thinking about right now is getting wins for the Montreal Canadiens. And once the Olympic break starts, then his mindset will shift towards Team Canada. He's only met Roberto Luongo a handful of times. They played golf together this summer, and he's looking forward to getting to know him in the next few days. Now, Price will not be heading over to Russia by himself. He'll be joined by his parents, his sister, his wife, and his in-laws. His wife is from the United States, and she said that she will be cheering for Team Canada for this one.
Smart move by Mrs. Price, I would think. There.
She doesn't want to sleep in the shed.
February 13th, Canada faces Norway. On the 14th, they face Austria. And then they've got a day break there before they're back in action for their final round-robin game against the Finns. And then it's the quarterfinals.
And that Finnish game that I talked about before, that's going to deem where Mike Babcock's going to deem his starter. Price, I think, is going to get Austria, put up some good numbers and see what happens.
Markov will be heading over to play for Russia. What a moment that'll be for the Russian players. Here's Brian Gionta now. Cross-ice pass for Briere. Briere shoots on Luongo, and he comes across to make the save on Danny Briere.
Physicality continues for the Montreal Canadiens. A couple big hits in this first period, in this first 10 minutes of the game. See Stanton going back to play the puck. Ryan White through the body. That fourth line, that's what they need to do, is continue try and turn pucks over. Every hit is an investment, especially early on in this game. That's what Ryan White brings to the lineup, that type of energetic, offensive push in that forecheck.
Fourth line was buzzing against Calgary, and Michel Therrien played him a lot, and it appears as though he's going to do the same again tonight if they keep making an impact physically as they have been to start this game as well. Lars Eller in the corner, spins it up the boards to Prust. Prust gives it to Douglas Murray, and I think that's about as far as that rush is going to go.
Safe play. Smart play by Douglas Murray. Won a battle behind the net physically, pushes it to Georges. It ends up coming up the wall. He supports it and then gets it deep.
Here's Diaz, steps in over the line. He takes a shot that goes off the shin pad of Douglas Murray. And here's Bourque. Bourque just dumps it in. How about Diaz the other night, scoring his first goal since February of last season? And ironically, that was against the Rangers with John Tortorella behind that bench. Maybe it's a Torts factor there.
Well, he certainly hopes as he continues to try and win Torts over. Certainly getting an opportunity in Vancouver, that how banged up they are on the back end. If they end up getting a power play, we're probably going to see him get a look on that too.
Vancouver's lost 5 in a row, all of those in regulation, and have been outscored 18-8 in the process. David Booth comes in hard on Subban there. He had a bit of a flying chicken wing going there. Subban saw it at the last second. Here's Gallagher outside his own blue line, now to center. They stay outside. Gallagher moves in, looks for some help. Fans on the shot. He was being watched closely there by Frank Corrado. Now Subban steps around Richardson, drops it off to Gallagher. Shot, bangled shot, stopped by Luongo. Off the boards and kept in by Boley, who puts it back towards the net. There's Darnay lurking, providing a screen. Back into the corner it goes. Vancouver sensing a little bit of trouble here. They just bank it off the boards, and now here's Booth. David Booth, he shoots, and Price makes a good save on a quick release by David Booth.
Down the wall, quick little snapper. It almost hit Carey Price. It looked like it hit him in the helmet or high on the shoulders. He got a terrific release on that.
Booth has been a bit of a whipping boy in the Vancouver media for his play of late, but he still has an excellent release when he fires it. Former 30-goal scorer. Here's Dalby back the other way. Dalby's in there. Backhand to forehand. His shot goes up and out of play. 6:34 to go here in the first.
David Booth ends up crushing PK Subban behind the net here. Subban turns the puck up as there's pressure from Kassian, and Booth right through the body. Subban in defensive mode at the last second, but like a good partner does, Nathan Beaulieu comes over, wants to mix it up. And you know what? Subban stays with it, ends up making a good offensive play at the other end. But
was he saying to Beaulieu, hey, thanks, or I got this?
Backing it off. He wants to do it himself. It's a veteran move, but you know what? It's a good partner. I'm a big fan of Nathan Beaulieu. I really believe that he just is going to continue to get better and better as he gets more experience in the National Hockey League. They've created that room for him to grow, obviously moving Rafael Diaz out. This kid's got a lot of guts and character, and you saw it right there. He wants to stand up for his partner. But I love the fact that PK calls him off and says, I'll take care of this. And mark my words, he's going to have David Booth lined up at some point for a clean hit tonight. PK Subban will.
Kessler wins the draw. Higgins moves it back to the line. There's Edler with a drive. Price makes the shot, and Kessler looking immediately for any loose puck, and there was none. And now more pushing and shoving in the corner here. This Vancouver team, they are coming in ornery. They've no doubt grown very tired of the losing that has been mounting.
It should be ornery. When you lose 5 in a row, you have to find some sort of pushback, something to rally around. Here's the Price, the shot, he was saved by Price. Good smart move. He goes to redirect it. It ends up sticking on his pad. He gobbles up that rebound, and then had the little pushing and shoving and chatting after the whistle after that.
Alexei Yemelin back out onto the ice for the Canadiens, back with his regular partner, Markov, for the shift. And Yemelin gets the puck away to Briere. Diaz pokes it away from Gionta, but Gionta gets it away to Briere. In front for Buchanan's penalty call coming up here. As Kessler is upset with his call, but here comes Markov, goes across to Yemelin. Delayed penalty call in effect, and Montreal will get the first power play of the game.
John Tortorella not happy with that call. Yep, calling the dive, as he says, but Ryan Kessler tries to get underneath the stick. Ryan Kessler tries to get underneath the stick of Plekanec as he's going hard to the net, but he takes away a good scoring chance. And lost in all of that is they could have had a backdoor play here. It's a nice little saucer pass by Danny Briere. As we look at Brian Gionta in some distress.
It's been a physical game, and Vancouver is out-hitting Montreal by a large margin right now. So Montreal's power play goes to work. They have been cold of late. They're 1 for their last 8. But that one power play goal was on Tuesday night. It was an empty net goal. So really, they haven't scored a real power play goal for a long time. Here's Subban now. Flips it near side for Pacioretty. Comes across for Markov. Pass was behind him. Nice little move there by Desharnais to retain possession. Puts it back into the corner for Pacioretty. He was looking for Markov, but a good quick stick there by Alex Burrows forces him outside the line. Vancouver's penalty killing, just like Montreal's, is very good. 4th overall in the NHL. Right behind the Canadiens in that category. Here's Desharnais with some time to bank it off the boards for Markov. Markov back there with Subban. Desharnais, Markov blasts one, and a blocker stopped there by Luongo. Here's Markov again. Across to Subban with a rocket that's knocked out. Gets it right back. Rizzo scores! PK Subban! Power play goal, and Montreal scores first.
Terrific puck movement by the Montreal Canadiens in zone play. It was originally PK Subban and Markov switch spots. Subban's going to get a look. The one-timer comes right back to him, but he wants to find a lane, but it's all made possible by Brendan Gallagher in front. Not a big guy, but you could see he gets in Roberto Luongo's eyes. As Roberto Luongo can't pick it up, it ends up going blocker side as he stands up to try to make that play, but Brendan Gallagher in front with a terrific screen, and the ability of PK Subban to put the puck towards the net, to find that lane, to get it down there. It's not how hard you shoot it, it's where you place it. It's a nice play by Subban and Gallagher.
I think that may have gone off of Max Pacioretty's leg and in. Yeah. No, they are giving it to PK Subban. We'll see if they change that. We'll take another look at it when we get a chance. But bottom line is it is a power play goal right now going to Subban. And Montreal's record when scoring first is excellent. They are 24-3-2. And a much-needed power play marker. Subban is ninth with the assist going to Markov at 14:59. On the penalty to Ryan Kesler for the hook. Here's Subban again. One hand on his stick, muscling off Sedin. Top of the circle, makes a move, drops it off. Eller takes a shot, and Luongo makes the stop, and there is no rebound. PK Subban for now has the goal. 1-0 Canadiens. PK Subban talking it over with his mates at the bench after scoring to make it 1-0.
Talking about puck movement, I'm sure, on that power play. This was terrific work. Desharnais puts it back. Now Markov and Subban are going to switch and get on their strong side for the one-timers. Markov puts it towards the net. Desharnais pops it right back, but Subban moves it right across. That's good puck movement. The initial shot gets blocked, comes right back to him. Now Subban realizes he needs to find that lane, get the puck down because he can see that Brendan Gallagher is in front for the screen. It ends up with the eventual goal, but that's just good puck movement and a smart play by PK Subban to get that puck on net.
He is Montreal's leading points man, and that is his 4th power play goal of the season. That's the first real power play goal on home ice since December 17th. As mentioned, they did get one on Tuesday night, but it was an empty net. He saw it for me. Oh, look out, this one's bouncing around, loose puck, scores! Luongo was down, and Ryan White found it and shoveled it upstairs to make it 2-0 Canadiens.
And Roberto Luongo is not happy about this. He feels he's been interfered with in front as the puck comes around, ends up heading down low. Now there's a physical battle in front. Edler pushing away. Roberto Luongo gets turned, and Ryan White grabs that rebound. Little backhand over top. But you see Luongo fighting for it. The puck, his stick ends up turning him. Ryan White identifies that and backhands that shelf. As you can see, Roberto Luongo turned by that physical battle in front. It's 2-0.
Michel Therrien going right back to his 4th line after that power play goal. And for Ryan White, that is his first goal since January 27th of last year. It's been over a calendar year for Ryan White since he scored against the New Jersey Devils. And he's really rewarded for really a couple of solid efforts this week. One happening right now tonight.
He's an emotional player. He plays with a lot of grit and determination. You can see what he's brought to that 4th line. He's going to mesh terrifically with Dale Weiss.
Very confusing play around the Canucks net, as well as Luongo was down. He had his back turned away from the loose puck, and I got to think that the lack of cohesion and experience on that defense core is playing into this right now. Big hit there. Eller saw it coming from Sestito. Hard not to see him coming at 6'5". Beaulieu steps up, puts it in on the net, bounces off of Luongo right to Sauve. He pushes it up the boards. Murray pitches, keeps it in. Now Eller back to pass. One-timer back, partially there by Pascal Peltier. Montreal smells blood in the water here, looking for a 3rd goal here in the late stages of the first. Shots are now 9-8 in favor of the Canadiens. Sestito drops it off for Golby. His wrist shot is stopped by Price, and he will cover up.
Little dust up in front. And they're going to give the goal to Max Pacioretty. But ends up hitting his leg in front on its way into the net. Right there. The right shin pad, the right pant, as it redirects past Roberto Luongo and Brendan Gallagher, who's in front. So good camera work, but more importantly, it's about Subban getting it down to the front of the net. Gallagher causing some havoc. Roberto Luongo unable to adjust before it goes in.
We're still waiting for official word that that goal. There's a hard blast stopped by Price off the stick of Edler. They have not changed it officially. At least we haven't received word yet, but it looks as though, as we felt, it will be Pacioretty's 24th of the season and not Subban's 9th.
Well, officially, we'll go and change it here for the broadcast.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, you could see Max Pacioretty that redirects off of him, but it's also a high screen. So a lot of bodies in front of Roberto Luongo on that play.
Ryan White, as he often is assigned to do, comes out to take a defensive zone draw here. And heads to the bench for the change. Meeting there is Pacioretty. 2 goals in 1 minute and 3 seconds for the Canadians to take a 2-0 lead over the Vancouver Canucks. A very fragile and banged up unit right now. Here's Daniel Sedin looking for the tip in front from Schrader, and he couldn't get it. Here's Alex Burrows. Burrows to Sedin, can't spin it out in front. Edler holds the line at the far point. Here's Daniel. Daniel out of the corner, banks it off the boards to Garrison, goes across to Edler. Edler winds and fires a shot that hits 2 players and then goes into the corner. Knocks that one down, puts it back towards the net. Karam's right back out to center ice. And that line will head to the Canucks bench.
The Canadians doing a good job of getting in lanes. There are 2 blocked shots right there as the puck doesn't get to Carey Price. It's because of the desperation and the hard work in the defensive zone, not only by the defenseman, PK Subban, but by the forwards too, getting in that lane so that the Canucks cannot get the puck to Carey Price.
That goal by Ryan White, his first of the season, his first in 57 games with an assist going to Dale Weiss. Former Vancouver Canuck at 16:02. That made it 2-0. And that fourth line is back out on the ice here with 1 minute 16 to go in the first period. And White, one hand on his stick, trying to get it to Bonival. Taken away by Cassian to center for Richardson. Richardson, who was part of the Stanley Cup winning Los Angeles Kings in 2012. Here's White. White and Richardson down low. Back to the point, across to Garrison. His shot well wide of the mark. Cassian battling for that loose puck. He angles off Markov and then gives it back to Garrison. Across he goes to Stanton. Here's Garrison. Backhand pass to Zach Cassian. Into traffic, and Price sees it, scoops it into his glove, and he will cover that up. Well, the 2014 Scotties Tournament of Hearts continues tomorrow here in Montreal with the final draw of the round robin. Live coverage gets underway at 9 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Atlantic, right here on TSN. You're a Western boy. You must enjoy the curling.
I do. I enjoy everything that goes with curling.
Yes, I knew this was going to go there. And what goes with curling? Dare I ask?
Friendship, camaraderie,
beverages.
I mean, it's just an atmosphere. That's what I enjoy about curling.
It's true. You know what? I've never been to a Brier, but I hear it's a great event. I'm going to have to put that on my bucket list. I scratched one off last night. Cy Young John, which was pretty cool here at the Bell Center. Here's PK Subban now to Daniel Briere. Briere drops it off of Plekanec, just out of his reach, and Vancouver's going to get a chance to rush it away. Here's Kessler. Kessler to Higgins. His shot. Unable to get it to the net. Good back check there by Brian Gionta, but a penalty call has been made from behind the play. It's going to be a hooking call. And this is going to go against Montreal.
Minor penalty for hooking.
So the Canucks will get a very brief power play to finish off this first period here.
You could see Thomas Plekanec on Jannik Hansen, stick in the rib area. He lets go of his stick, but the ref, the ref from far away calls it. There's a better angle of the play. Plekanec's going to sit for 2 or less.
Vancouver's power play, not good. 29th overall in the league. 13.4%, 1 for 27 in their last 8 games. Part of the big problem and part of the whole not scoring thing. There's a tip and a good save by Price with his left pad, and that was redirected right in front of him as time is going to expire here in the opening period. Vancouver will have 1 minute and 47 seconds of power play time to start the second period. But this first period ends with a 2-0 lead. Here's what's coming up in our first intermission. We'll have a player interview downstairs with Jessica Rusnak. Have Your Say is coming up with John Liu of TSN, and Jamie McLennan will have highlights and analysis from what he has seen here the opening 20 minutes. 2 goals against Roberto Luongo. Price is perfect through 20, and it is 2-0 Canadians over Vancouver You're watching the Canadiens on TSN. First period scoring summary, 2-0 is the score. Pacioretty gets his 24th of the season on the power play. Subban and Markov draw assists, and then Ryan White with his first of the season and first in 57 games. 2-0 is the score in a matchup of two teams, East and West, and two goalies who will be headed to Russia on Sunday. Here's the International Team Canada resume for Carey Price. He's won a gold and a tournament MVP at a World Junior in 2007 in Leksand, Sweden. World Under 18. Lost a gold medal game to Phil Kessel in Team USA, and we always throw in the World Under 17 as well, because as far as Hockey Canada is concerned, that is the entry point into their program of excellence. This guy's resume is much longer. In fact, he is the winningest goalie really in Team Canada history. Nobody's won more than this guy. The Olympics in 2010, 3 medals at the World Championships, the World Cup of Hockey, the World Junior silver medal, and a great overtime loss to Russia in Winnipeg. And Roberto Luongo and Carey Price.
That's why I still believe, and a lot of people talk about Canadian goaltender woes. When you have that type of accreditation and accomplishments in the international hockey level, you feel pretty confident going over. Yes, Roberto Luongo, things haven't gone as well for him lately, but you know, having a guy like Carey Price right there who's having that Vezina type of season, you know, there's some depth in net. All you need is a guy to feel his game at the right time and instill that confidence. Whether it's Luongo or Price, both of these guys are capable of it, and we've seen it at the international level.
Thomas Plekanec still in the penalty box for 1 minute and 47 seconds on the hooking call he took in the late stages there of the first period. So Vancouver begins the clean sheet and some power play time here to try to get back into this one. Alex Edler starts up the ice, drops it off for Daniel Sedin. Rafael Diaz on this top power play unit right now. Here's Cross, short-handed, whistles a slap shot wide of the glove side of Luongo. Here comes Alex Burrows, drops it off. They go near side here for Kessler, bounces off his stick and in behind the net. Back to Edler. Edler walks the line up to the middle, and then he drops it off back for Kessler. Kessler down low. Diaz in the back door, almost got a one-timer away for Brandon Prust with a quick stick, broke that up.
It's a great play by Brandon Prust. It's a good read, because that is a one-timer backdoor on Carey Price. It would be very tough to stop, but Brandon Prust, all about a terrific active stick.
And Prust coming close on that shorthanded break. Montreal does have 6 shorthanded goals. That is tied for 4th most in the NHL.
You talk about the details on the penalty kill. Brandon Prust picks off that cross-ice pass, misses the net, but a great chance on the power play. And that's what you need from your penalty killers, is to have some pushback. That way, you know when you're on the power play, you have to be aware that you can get scored on shorthanded. Plus with a good look there.
That puck goes off the skate there of Jason Garrison. Here's Max Pacioretty fighting his way down the ice, trying to sweep it back to Lars Eller, and instead it comes to the near side. Eller is one of the guys who does have a short-handed goal for the Canadiens. Thomas Plekanec leads in that category with 3, but he, of course, is in the box for another 13 seconds. Jannik Hansen now gets it back to the line for Garrison. Garrison back for Schrader. Great pass to Hansen. He fanned on the one-time attempt. Another penalty call coming up here, and it's another call against the Canadiens. What a chance there for Hansen, but the power play will continue for the Canucks.
Terrific work by the Vancouver Canucks at the top. Now you see the entry. It's going to go back D to D, but the Canadiens do a good job of taking away that cross-ice pass. But what happens? It opens up a seam right there. One-timer Yemelin with a little trip right there on Hansen. As Hansen goes down, you see the reaction. But Hansen misses that one-timer through the seam as the 2 top forwards get dragged up on that D to D. You have to be careful to not open up that box, because that'll make you pay. You talk about backdoor plays. You allow Carey Price everything on the strong side, but anything through a seam is very tough for a goaltender.
Montreal has continued to lead on its penalty killing unit all season long. They are 3rd in the NHL, 6th on home ice. They've been 100%, Jamie, the last 6 games. Now 23 for their last 23 kills. This one's going down the ice.
Well, for me, it's all about clears. Talk about it and harp on it. You win a draw, you get it down. Now you're eating 20, 25 seconds off the clock. And you're forcing a team that's not confident on the power play with entries.
Here's an entry by Kessler. Goes near side for Daniel Sedin. Burrows has it get over his stick, and it's forced there by Plekanec. Here's a short-handed break. 2-on-1. Plekanec in. Pursues. Great stop by Luongo as he comes across and takes that away. What a save by Roberto.
Well, that's a 10-bell save. And at the right time. If this is 3-0, the game's over right here. But a great fake shot pass over by Plekanec. Puts it on a tee for Brandon Prust. Yeah, it's pretty good wood on it, but Roberto Luongo with the read and a good push extension across and gobbles up that rebound. Talk about timely saves. Roberto delivers one right there.
Big stop. That was very close to Montreal's 7th short-handed goal. And here they come again. Back the other way as Vancouver blocker stop by Price. And a deflection in front ends up in the net. A power play goal for the Canucks, who are on the board. 2-1.
We see it all the time. A big save at one end translates into something at the other. Carey Price blockers that out, but then the puck, it's put towards the net. Chris Higgins is in front, and it ends up hitting him right there, the redirection. No chance for Price on this play as it hits Higgins' left shin pad and bounces down. But it's about the entry, too. We talked about the Vancouver Canucks. Not a confident team. Max Pacioretty popped out a little bit outside that box. Allows the entry, and it ends up in their net. But it's all about that Roberto Luongo save. Now we've got a game.
So Vancouver gets back-to-back power play opportunities. They cash in on the second. They're 1 for 2 with a man advantage. That's the first power play goal Montreal has surrendered in its last 7 games. And counting here, and it's 2-1. What a stop by Luongo to really keep it within reach. And here comes Gallagher back the other way for Montreal. Trying to get around Stetson, pokes it away from him. Gallagher stays on the puck, chases it into the corner. Up the boards, it's Booth, puts it to open ice, far side. Markov just chops it back in there. Ryan Stanton. Long lead pass up for Kassian. He's in. Rebound. Booth. Stopped by Price as both goalies make big stops at either end. Now here comes Bourque. Bourque was one-on-one, but the puck was bouncing on him as this game started to pick up here to start the second. Booth steps in over the line. His wrist shot blocked in front of him by Murray. Murray is laboring to get back up after that shot block, and he's still limping around back there. Here's Bourque. He needs to chop it out so his teammate Douglas Murray can make his way to the bench. Montreal has to clear on the delayed offside call, and here's Sauve now. Sauve puts it up to Pelche. He chops this one, or deflects it into the Montreal zone, but it's up and over the glass and out of play.
Douglas Murray certainly in some trouble as he limps down towards the Canadiens' dressing room as he had a big shot block. The puck headed, and looks like he caught the meat on the ankle, but right there as it hits his left ankle, and he struggles to get off the ice. Now you're down to 5D. You've got to do a little bit of juggling.
It's the second time a defenseman for the Canadiens has headed down the tunnel. Yemelin did that in the first. He came back, but not so sure about that one with Murray, who is a one tough customer. He's got a very high pain threshold for sure. 2-1 here. 4.5 minutes into the second period. Vancouver getting on the board, and a goal by the former Canadian Chris Higgins. So the assist going to Garrison and Schrader at 2:31. Power play marker, and they're back to work here in the offensive zone. Hansen being watched there by Georges. Comes back to the line. Edler waits for it, snaps it back towards the net. Off a stick into the far corner. Up the boards goes Markov. Gets some help from Plekanec. Briere flattened there by Alex Edler. chasing after a loose puck, and Edler got there just a second before him.
It's right through the body on Danny Briere. Danny Briere put in a tough position there because he's reaching for that stretch pass, and Edler reads that and crushes him.
Been a physical game, and Vancouver's been doing the majority of the hitting.
Certainly has been a physical game, but you come back. Roberto Luongo has the big save. Well, Carey Price says, you know what? I can match that. Terrific save on the initial 2-on-1, but even better save on the rebound as he gets across and takes away that lower part of the net, so there's no option to go through the body.
Here's Yevlin, one-timer off a stick and wide of the net. Dale Weiss, who's got an assist against his old team tonight, up there with his mate Michael Bournival. Bournival got a stick with something up high, and now he's slow to go to the Canadiens bench. Vancouver back the other way. Here's Schrader dancing in. Schrader drops it out. Garrison with a shot, and Price makes the stop and hangs on.
And there's a look at Michael Bournival, as mentioned, very slow going to the bench, and he seems to be in some distress.
Trainer puts a little gauze on his chin. Looks like he's cut, but not happy about it. Some blood from his chin, but looks a little woozy, I would say, as he heads off.
He is very slowly making his way down the bench. And for the second time in about a minute, a Canadian leaves the bench. Douglas Murray and now Michael Bournival. That does not look very good. He got something up high, whether it was a stick or some kind of contact to the head for sure. Here's Gallagher now. Gallagher 3-on-2 rush developing here for the Canadiens. Pacioretty carries in. Pacioretty puts it in front. Ends up on the stick of Luongo, who steered it aside. Gallagher battling for it down low. Tries to get it out in front. Jamming away. And Luongo guards things at the far post. There's Desharnais pushing and shoving. And we will take a break. The Vancouver Canucks have fought their way back into this one. It's 2-1 here at the Bell Center. There's a little more room over on that Montreal bench as Douglas Murray and now Michael Bournival have headed down towards the Canadiens' dressing room.
And the challenge now for Michel Therrien is to start mixing the lines up, putting the blender on it. This could be huge for the Montreal Canadiens because that fourth line has been so strong. Created a lot of momentum. You could see Dale Weiss's stick hits Bournival in the chin, and as we saw him heading off, being helped off in some distress. Not good for the Montreal Canadiens and that fourth line who's created so much momentum over the last two games.
He got it right on, to use boxing vernacular, the button, right on the chin. And that was a kind of a spooky sight watching him exit the bench.
The eyes glazed over, and I mean, I'm not a doctor, but that's classic symptoms of concussion. So they'll have to run through the concussion protocol.
Vancouver is out hitting Montreal 19-6. Booth, Edler, and Sestito all have 3 hits each. Here comes Higgins, who's got the goal for the Canucks. Higgins with a backhander right across the goal mouth area. Rafael Diaz swipes it back towards Price. This goes off the boards, and back up the center ice comes Briere. Up to Plekanec. Plekanec looking for some late help. Almost found Markov, who gets it back to the line for Yevlin in towards the net. Off a skate. Here's Plekanec. Quick shot knocked down by the Canucks in front of Roberto Luongo, who made a sensational save earlier in this period on a short-handed 2-on-1. There's Price covering his angles on Alex Burrows, who still does not have a goal this season. He is at a real tough go with injuries and now trying to get a goal here. Here's Kessler. Keeps that puck into the line. Burrows bumps into Briere. Garrison now. Burrows is all tangled up around the Briere. Was holding onto his stick is what he was doing. Now Gionta just relieves the pressure, flips it out of the zone. Over towards the far boards, back to center is Schrader. Schrader will drop it off for Daniel Sedin. Finds Stanton creeping in late, but he's stripped with a puck by Eller, who quickly turns it back up the right side. Here's Eller, who shoots. Good stop by Luongo with a high release there by Lars Eller. PK Subban. New career high in points for him. Set tonight his 39th points of the season with plenty of games to play. Montreal's leading scorer. Another penalty call coming up against the Canadiens, and this one is going to be against Prust. So the Canucks, who have already got a power play goal on the board, get their third straight man advantage here.
In this third line, Bourque, Eller, and Prust had a terrific 3-on-2 earlier, and then
Montreal,
in the neutral zone,
2 minutes, tripping.
Brandon Prust trips the Canuck player right here. Richardson goes down right in front of the ref. Hard getting out of that one.
So a Canuck power play, which was not feeling good about itself coming in. Now, they're getting a little bit of traction.
As we talked to John Tortorella, you need a couple ugly ones and put the puck towards the net, hits Higgins' left shin pad and slides past Carey Price. We'll see if that stems into some confidence.
And Tortorella was saying he hopes they got one or two tonight off a particular body part. We can't
yes,
really,
we can't say that on the broadcast.
but you can probably figure it out.
Yeah.
Here comes Frank Corrado. Corrado, who got into the Canuck lineup late last season and then got into the playoffs as well, where they were quickly swept aside by the San Jose Sharks. Real disappointing playoff in back-to-back years now for Vancouver. Carey Price handles the puck and clears it himself.
A lot of talk about Carey Price handling the puck after that Winnipeg mishap, but he's so strong and calm and cool back there. That's a strength to have, and he certainly has that in his arsenal.
Daniel Sedin, no goals in his last 17. Gets the puck into the zone, trying to get it back to Burrows. And now here comes Dale Weiss on the penalty kill. Chips it around Edler and then goes in after it against his former teammate. Edler pins him along the end boards, and it's scooped up quickly by Burrows. Burrows up to Daniel. Daniel flips it in there. Here's Kessler now, meets the puck, rings it around the boards. Waiting for it near side is Diaz. Daniel now. Trying to get away from the check of Pacioretty. Diaz moves it across. One-timer. And fanning on that one was Edler. Here's Sedin in behind the net. Gets it to Kessler. Ryan Kessler back to Edler. And the return feed to Kessler back down low in the corner for Daniel Sedin. Back up top for Edler. 20 seconds to go to the power play. Here's Diaz now. Edler, lots of movement, no shots. And they're running out of time. Burrows. Try to feather a pass to Kessler, broken up and sent down the ice by the Canadiens.
It's a great read by Markov to take away that seam. Canucks trying to be too pretty on that play, and they don't get anything directed towards the net.
Here comes Booth. Richardson finds the puck. Price got his pad on that on a loose second attempt right in front. And here comes Montreal back the other way. It's crossed into the box, towards the net. Puck goes up and over the goal and into the corner. Teams back at even strength. Vancouver now 1 for 3 with a man advantage. Here's Richardson now. Brad Richardson on his back end. Shovels it in there where it's met by Subban. And he's met by Booth. One shot on goal in that last power play attempt for the Canucks. Hustling back there is Sauve against the much more experienced and bigger Bourque. They both got tangled up, and that allows the Canucks to put the pass up to center for Kassian. Kassian going one-on-one. Booth in support. Has it taken away by Eller. Eller trying to put it up the boards, then gets it back, and he's going to try this side now. Into the middle for Subban. Rolled in there. Garrison first to the puck. Takes the hit from Prust. We have not seen Douglas Murray return, or Michael Bonival. We'll likely not see him anytime soon. At least tonight, there's a chance there in front for Gallagher. Tipped it just wide. Back to the line for Yevlin. Yevlin across to Beaulieu. His one-timer didn't get all of that one. Luongo fighting to get that puck out from in front of the net, and did. Now Beaulieu. Puck bounces off his stick. Pascal Pelche now goes in hard. Takes out Yevlin, who was retreating for that puck. Pelche is from Labrador City, Newfoundland. The East Coaster here, the Blues here in Montreal. Now a long stretch pass. Pacioretty in there, and he can't get away from Diaz, but he has taken a penalty, and it's going to be a
of the physical turn. All starts in the Montreal zone, but Pacioretty finds a way to get behind the Canucks D-man, the head of steam, and he ends up being hooked and cannot get the shot away. True definition of a penalty shot right there. Terrific pass by Beaulieu as he's heading off the ice. Diaz has to rope him down, and it's going to end up at center ice.
Max Pacioretty's only been involved in one shootout. He's 0 for 1. It's interesting, how some of the best goal scorers, they just aren't great. It's
Wayne Gretzky.
Like,
Wayne Gretzky wasn't great on breakaways, but he could do everything else.
All right, Roberto Luongo made a huge stop earlier in this period to keep it a 2-goal game at the time. Vancouver responded. Now he needs to get another save here on Pacioretty. Here he comes. Fires it well wide of the net.
Pacioretty tries to freeze Roberto Luongo initially. You can see Roberto Luongo set his feet and then react to it. Little fake there, tries to change his angle, go high blocker. Ends up shanking it wide, but gets Roberto Luongo to bite initially, and he wants to go around, change his angle. Just ends up missing his spot, but as you can see on that back angle, there wasn't much net to shoot at down low as Roberto was down early. As he tries to fire at high blocker. Luongo with the save.
Pacioretty's 3 for 16 career in shootouts, and that one will not go into scrapbook right there.
Now listen, he's already got a goal tonight.
Yeah. There's Subban trying to find a lane to get that puck to the net, just as he did on the game's opening goal, which was ultimately credited to Pacioretty. Sedin puts it in on net, and now that net is off of its moorings as Garrison and Georges collide. It's been a physical one tonight. Booth and Subban certainly have something going. It's 2-1, a tight one at the Bell Center. Welcome back to the Bell Center with more on this Canadian Olympian. Here again is Jessica Rusnak.
Dave, Rolly Melanson is a goaltending coach for the Vancouver Canucks, but he spent 14 years with the Montreal Canadiens. He was Carey Price's first goalie coach when he made the NHL, but he had some pretty harsh words for him this summer. He told a New Brunswick newspaper that Price's game has really gone downhill ever since he was let go. He even commented about his work ethic. He said he would let things slide in practice, which would eventually catch up to him in games. Price said that everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but he really hasn't put much thought into what Rolly Melanson had to say.
Well,
it's pretty sharp words. I remember.
I doubt they exchange pleasantries in the hallways here. Melanson is here.
Well, they should, though. I mean, I was shocked at those comments. I know Rolly pretty well, and Carey Price has a work ethic, and he's certainly having a great season. So everything's worked out with Stephon Waite coming in.
Melanson now the goaltending coach for the Canucks. Kessler was headed for the net. Couldn't get the return feed there for Higgins, who just dropped it in there. Goes in behind the goal. Along the far sides now is Christopher Higgins. Loose puck for Kessler, who got the shot away over the glove there of Price. Net comes off the moorings as Kessler did not miss by much there. Well, Habs Regional Hockey returns Thursday, February 27th after the Olympic break as the Canadians head to Pittsburgh to face off against the Penguins. We'll be there for that one. Live coverage begins here on your regional TSN Canadian station at 7 Eastern, 8 Atlantic. First game out of the Olympic break for Montreal is Detroit. It's actually a back-to-back, Detroit and then Pittsburgh. And there is Kessler, who has been the one constant, and he's played every game this season. Last year was an injury nightmare for Kessler, but he's played every game for John Tortorella this season.
Horses rage about him as well.
Said he has been a horse, of which we know he can be. There's Murray back out of the ice for the Canadiens, so that's good news. They're back to 60. Nathan Beaulieu at center fires that puck in. Pacioretty leaves it for Gallagher. Gallagher back into the corner for Pacioretty. Flips it out in front and it bounces straight to the Canucks forward or D, Rafael Diaz. And now here's Booth. Booth with a wrist shot, and that's kicked aside by Price. Turned over now. Cassian gets it back in. Behind the Montreal net, comes up the board. Sauvé pinches from his defensive position, still with it. Here's Jan Sauvé now. Goes back to the line for Corrado with a blast. That hits a body loose puck, and it gets past Zach Kassian. Good flurry there, all created by young Jan Sobeck. Now here's Pacioretty's got another break. Pacioretty in. What a stop and a play by Burrows, and another penalty shot for Max Pacioretty. I thought it was a great play by Burrows, and Pacioretty gets his second penalty shot of the period.
He's even laughing about it. Now they're handing penalty shots out here like tickets tonight. The first one was certainly deserved, but this is a terrific defensive play as he gets stick on puck there. But Max Pacioretty, he'll take it. Isn't that textbook stick on puck? Pacioretty tries to take an angle.
I mean, he does get a bit of a skate for sure, but I don't know. I would have given the benefit of the doubt to Burrows on that play if you ask me, but how about this? When's the last time you've seen this?
Two in a period. Two in the last 5 minutes.
I think less than that. Well, he made a mess of his first one, so let's see what Max Pacioretty does in his second penalty shot against Luongo. Stops, moves in. No! I think he should decline if he gets a third.
Give like the Rodney Dangerfield, like, oop, my arm's broken, and somebody else comes in.
Wow. That is something. I think Luongo's probably even having a...
Even Louis having a chuckle about it, but Pacioretty tries a different approach here. Slows up, wants to get the goaltender to bite. That's a good move by a skilled player to see if the goaltender will commit to something and then find that hole. And that's what Pacioretty is so good at in regular play. But maybe too much time overthinking it.
Well, that is something. So Ball remains in the Canadiens' dressing room. His fourth line now has Rennie Bourque taking a shift along with Dale Weiss and Ryan White. White, one of the goal scorers for Montreal. Right now, that is the go-ahead goal. The other one scored by Pacioretty on the power play. 2 power play goals in the game. Vancouver has one as well. Just under 6 minutes remaining in a game that has really become quite interesting here in this second period for sure. Here's Daniel Sedin, pulls that one down, takes a drive in on Price, who makes the stop. Daniel Sedin said one of his goals coming into this season, Jamie, was to shoot more, and he is a little bit, but just not going for him right now, and his shooting percentage is way down.
But you shoot with a purpose. Carey Price is so good with his rebounds, it just makes it look easy. You have to find a way to elevate the puck. You can create a rebound when you're that far out.
And he won the Art Ross. Here's Price, gives it up to Gallagher. Gallagher toe drag. He fires a shot just wide of the mark. Kept in there by Markov. Into the corner for Eller. Trying to tip it on the way by was Trust. And Dolby gets away for Sestito. Tom Sestito rumbles into the Montreal zone. Try to feed it back in front. And now here comes Gallagher in the quick transition. Gallagher hustling in. Back to cut him off is Stanton. Eller comes in to fight the battle, get that puck back to Subban. Does well to keep that in along the half boards. Here's Subban. Kessler just muscled him off the puck there with one hand. Subban retreated, and Vancouver off the glass and out.
This game certainly has a physical tone to it in the second period as the emotion levels come up a lot.
Subban carries the puck up the ice, draws a couple of mates offside, and will take a quick break. Gallagher coming close there, stick side of Luongo, but it's still 2-1 Montreal. Back at the Bell Center, and Max Pacioretty still shaking his head over on that Montreal bench after missing not one, but 2 penalty shots in this period alone.
I don't know if I've ever seen them in the last 15, 20 years. I'm sure it's popped up somewhere in an obscure game that we haven't paid attention to, but Pacioretty tried 2 different things. Speed on the first one, try and get Luongo to maybe change his angle.
Look at this, that's not the first penalty shot he's had against Luongo.
And he did the same thing on the first 2 here, and now he tries to change it up a little bit. Shake and bake on Roberto Luongo, but Luongo outweights him. That's a sign of an experienced goaltender and a confident goaltender as he wants to force the shooter to do something. And he overthinks it, and Luongo comes out on top.
That first replay we showed you was from the first meeting in October in Vancouver. So he's now 0 for 3 on penalty shots against Roberto Luongo this season.
They've set a record, or they're on pace to set a record for penalty shots in the National Hockey League this year. They're handing them out like tickets. I get on it. I'm a little bit more goaltender friendly, obviously, but I didn't believe that that was a penalty shot on the Burrows play, but certainly was on the first one. But Roberto Luongo with the answer.
Face off now in the Montreal zone. Stanton takes a drive into traffic. Gets knocked aside by Georges. And here comes Plaquettes again. He saw Gionta, but Gionta didn't have a stick. Now he's got one as he retrieves one from the bench. Here comes Kessler now. In over the line, he comes. Stops up at the top of the circle. No help there. Briere angles him off. Puck goes into the corner. Jannik Hansen now. Back for Kessler. He's got Higgins waiting out in front. Tries to get it out to him. Whoa, that one almost plugged over the shoulder there of Price. Into the short side. Kessler trying to create just anything. Vancouver, a team struggling to score, will take goals any way they can get them right now.
Have to get the puck to the front of the net. And great awareness by Carey Price in that post.
Plaquettes carries it up. Meantime, a couple of players, that's Subban, all tangled up way behind the play at his own end, along with Higgins.
Higgins have something going.
Well, he's got something going, I think, now with Booth, Kessler, and now Higgins.
Talk about him being engaged emotionally in this game tonight.
It's a full dance card.
It certainly is.
Under 3 minutes to go, second period. Montreal working a one-goal lead here against a Vancouver team that has not lost 6 in a row in 15 seasons. They are trying to avoid that here tonight. Down by 1 on the road. They'll be in Toronto on Saturday night to head into the Olympic break. Here's Jordan Schroeder now. In over the line, Sedin with a return feed to Schroeder. He tips it just wide. Out in front, Sedin jams on it. Price made the initial stop, and Sedin was dumped, and Montreal comes back out. Here's Bourque, flips it into the middle for Prost. Schroeder with a great back check there to break that up. And now Sedin, who's just gotten back onto his feet, is out at center. Here's Sauvé now. Sauvé floats one out in front. Burrows was all covered by Douglas Murray. Now here's Murray at center. Over the red stripe and in. Alex Edler. Over to Sedin, who will be without his brother at the Olympics. Henrik ruled out of the Olympics earlier today. Here's a chance now. Turned over to Gallagher. He's watched there by Diaz. Gallagher working against his old teammate there in the corner. Still with the puck. Diaz and Kassian both converge on him. Now Kassian's giving a bump there. And stepping up to knock him out of the play there was Murray. He now goes to the bench.
Strong forecheck by the Canadians. Good board work by Brendan Gallagher on the play.
Subban with fresh legs off the bench. Wheels around his own net and then pushes it out to center ice. Here's Kassian now. Got it back to Booth. Final minute now of the second period. Here's Ryan Stanton, who's a waiver pickup by the Canucks from the Chicago Blackhawks. Chicago did not want to lose him. He was a guy they could have seen as a solid depth guy, but they just couldn't get him into the lineup. Not with that defensive group they've got. Here comes Plaquettes. Ryan shoots over the shoulder there of Luongo. And that goes up and out of play as it went off of Luongo's mask, actually, and out of play. So the faceoff will stay inside the blue line.
Here you're going to see a chance by Sedin. Puck gets put towards the net. Pop right out. Daniel Sedin tries to go short side on Carey Price as Price closes off the seal against his post. Terrific work by Price in tight. One of the strengths of his game, using that size and making sure that nothing squeaks through there. Good awareness around your net by Carey Price.
Centering attempt, kept in the near point now by Josh Georges. He sees Ryan Gionta waiting for it. Gionta goes back to Subban. His drive in on Luongo. He makes the stop and then got brushed there by Dale Weiss as the former Canuck was going by the far post there. They kind of give him a little wink on the way by.
He's right in Luongo's grill. But that's what Dale Weiss needs to do. Be strong in front of that net. Get to that blue plane. You see him get involved physically with Edler. And Edler's elbow actually hits Luongo in the head. Weiss skates by and gives him a word.
Edler clears the zone. Waiting for it is Higgins. Final 20 seconds now. Only one goal here in this second period, scored by Chris Higgins. His 16th of the season. Now there's a turnover at center ice for the bouncing puck. Kessler's in there. Kessler to Higgins. Oh, what a chance, and his stick broke just as time expires. Higgins was looking to bury his second of the game, and his stick explodes. And that's how it's gone for the Vancouver Canucks the last 3 weeks. But they're in this one, make no mistake about it. Here's what's coming up in our second intermission. Jessica Rusnak will have a player interview for you. We will go in the box with Francois Gagnon from RDS. And, of course, Jamie will be by with his highlights and analysis of a very interesting second period in Montreal between the Canucks and the Canadiens here on TSN 2-1. Back at the Bell Center, here's a look at the second period scoring summary. Only one goal there. Chris Higgins with his 16th, and he came oh so close to getting his 17th in the last couple of seconds of that second period. He got a great feed from Kessler, and his stick snapped on him. Look at the shots on goal. Vancouver out shooting Montreal 27-17.
Got to find a way to get the pucks not only to the net, but with quality. If you can't beat Carey Price on that original shot, create a second shot and jam away.
David Booth leads the Canucks with 4 shots on net, and we are underway here in a 2-1 hockey game that's had hits, it's had penalty shots, it's all kinds of stuff going on here as the Canucks are desperate to try to snap a 5-game losing streak. Puck just comes outside the line and rolls down into the Vancouver end. Jason Garrison is back to get it. Garrison is struggling a little bit. He's -3. He was a +18 last season. There's Ryan Kessler. Fires that one in off of the end glass. First man back to it is Yevlin. Yevlin goes across to Markov, who banks it back to Yevlin.
Yevlin has seemed to shake off that early injury where it looked like he broke his nose. Came back and he's had a strong night.
Here's Rafael Diaz. Traded by the Canadiens on Monday to Vancouver for Dale Weiss. Diaz scored the other night for Vancouver. Weiss has an assist tonight on what right now is the go-ahead goal by Ryan Weiss. That's the kind of night it's been. White, by the way, long way from being the game-winning goal, but he does not have any game winners in his career. Now in his 5th year as a Montreal Canadian. Josh Georges contending with Daniel Sedin, so they get the puck back to Subban. Now there's a turnover and a wraparound attempt by Burrows, but guarding that near post was Price. Makes his 27th save of the hockey game.
That was all created by a little reverse play by PK Subban that was read by the Canucks forward, and then good post work by Carey Price as he seals it off and takes away the lower part of the net.
Frank Corrado goes back over to his defensive partner, Jan Solve. Those two played together when they were in Utica, but now they're up in the big show. Well, we got a chance. Here's our upcoming schedule on TSN Canadiens channel. Our next game is not till February 27th after the Olympic break. We'll be in Pittsburgh, and then we're headed out west for games in LA and Anaheim and Phoenix. Won't be back here at the Bell Center until Wednesday, March 12th, when the Boston Bruins are in town. And the stretch one will truly be on for a playoff spot. Canadiens, by the way, back in the top 3 of the Atlantic Division after dropping out of the top 3 in the last few weeks. The points in 4 of their last 5 games have taken care of that. And Toronto's cooled off just a little bit. Here's Ryan Stanton with a drive into traffic. Price may have got just a piece of that as it goes in behind the net. Now Murray leans on Sestito. That's a heavy collision between two big guys. Sestito now, he's got 5 goals this season. Got to feed it out in front, turn it over momentarily to Bourque, who finishes the job, gets it down the ice. Now Weiss is a good skater, gets in there after Garrison and leans on him. Out of the corner comes Brian White, turns and shoots. Rebound out of the glove of Luongo, back into play. White, who had 6 shots on Tuesday against the Flames, just taking shots from everywhere, and why not? René Bourque playing on this 4th line right now because Michael Bournival left in the 2nd period. In case you missed it, he caught a stick of his teammate. We believe it was Dale Weiss's stick, caught him right in the chin, and he looks in distress after the contact to the head with the stick. And we've not seen him since he headed down the tunnel.
Yes, Douglas Murray has come back. And that's a good addition on the back end. At least doesn't mess with the pairings. But yes, you have to put the lines in the blender a little bit, start mixing it up for that 4th line.
That 4th line had been very effective since it was put together on Tuesday night by Therrien with Weiss and White and Bournival. Edler's got his man pinned there in the corner. Finally, they dig it free. Plekanec can't contain it. Higgins is down there as well. Finally, it squares free for Yellen. Moves it across to Markov. Markov shot blocker stopped by Luongo. Back to the line again. Quickly moved around to Thomas Plekanec. He fires from a sharp angle. Luongo makes that save. Back in front of the goal mouth, and Brouillard just missed. Now across to Plekanec. In front, looking for the bounce off Gionta. And this time, Luongo covers up and hangs on.
Some good pressure here by the Montreal Canadiens. Throwing everything they have at Roberto Luongo. Roberto Luongo makes a glove save here on Ryan White, who's going to step off. And Luongo fights it off a little bit here as it pops out of his glove. The Canadiens doing everything they can to create second chances. That's what you need to do. Get a couple ugly ones. I love this play here by Plekanec. Throwing it towards the net. A little redirection as Gionta looks for positioning and fights to battle it off, and Roberto Luongo grabs the rebound, but good sustained pressure by the Montreal Canadiens.
Luongo missed a total of 9 games with a sprained ankle. That was the result of a collision with Dustin Brown of the Los Angeles Kings. Came back, and his first start after that stint there was that now infamous game against the Calgary Flames. He was good then. He was good against the Edmonton Oilers in his next start. Has had mixed results since, but it is in large part to the play of the team and the injuries in front of him. And he's made some Luongo-like saves tonight, hasn't he?
He certainly has. He's strong.
There's a chance in front. Danny chops it off, scores! Pacioretty with his 2nd of the game. Who needs a penalty shot?
It is all created in front by Desharnais, creating space and getting it back to Pacioretty on the back door. No chance for Roberto Luongo on the play, but puck bounces out. Garrison unable to handle it behind the net. Pacioretty pops it out. Now Desharnais takes body position on Richardson and then throws it back door. Good presence of mind to know that Pacioretty is supporting the play. And Roberto Luongo outstretches and cannot get his glove on it. But that's just a heads-up strong play by Desharnais to put it on a tee for Pacioretty for his 2nd goal.
25 goals now on the season. His career high is 33, which he did 2 seasons ago, and he's getting close to that. Pacioretty, what an eventful night he has had here. Here's Jordan Schrader, pulls that puck out of the air, tries to race around the corner on Subban, and then turn it over to Bourque, who flips it again, and now he's trying to get away from Garrison. Bourque in, stopped by Luongo. A great save and a hard charging René Bourque. What a good burst there by Bourque. Now late man is Stanton. His shot is stopped by Price as the Canucks try to answer back. Here's Sedin backing up at center ice. Max Pacioretty from Desharnais and Gallagher at 4:45. Pacioretty now with 25 goals on the season. And it's 3-1. They restored a 2-goal lead. 14.5 minutes to go. That's kept in by Diaz. He winds and fires. That didn't miss by much as Price didn't see that one. A lot of traffic in front. Here comes Mad Max again. Pacioretty tries to step around Edler. He's angled off into the corner. What a penalty call. It's going to be a too many men call made here. Who had too many men? Was it Vancouver or?
Montreal's penalty bench monitor, too many men on the ice.
Montreal. So just as Vancouver did in the second period, they're going to get a chance to get back within one with a power play.
Well, and the Canadians have taken over this game territorially, but they dump it in, and you can see this goal against is going to be made possible by the one battle behind the net. And then Desharnais throws it on a tee backdoor for Pacioretty. Just a smart play. You know, tough bounce off the boards. Garrison unable to kind of corral that. And then it ends up in their net.
So too many men against the Canadians. And Vancouver's power play, which is 1 for 3 tonight. Needs one here. Kessler to take this draw against Thomas Plekanec. Plekanec, he had the 3 short-handed goals. Wins the face-off, and Montreal sends it down the ice. 4 consecutive power plays in the game now for the Canucks. Price slows that puck down. Look out! That one almost bounced off of Georges and in as Kessler saw Price out of his net and almost got the bank shot corner pocket.
Throw it to the net and see what happens. As it hits Georges' right skate and just misses the wide open net.
And that would have been a much talked about gap because he made one. Made one against the Winnipeg Jets, which ended up being the winning goal for the Jets on Sunday.
Well, the puck bounces away from Carey Price, but he is in position to get back. But Kessler just with a smart play to try and throw it towards the net, see if he can get a favorable bounce, a lucky bounce that hits Georges' skate and goes wide.
Did you ever have 1 or 2 get away from you and it made you not want to play the puck, like ruined your confidence in that aspect
100%,
of your game?
but I didn't handle the puck like Carey Price, and I didn't play as much as him. So when you make a mistake like that, when you had a game like mine, believe me, it weighed on you for weeks until my next start. Carey Price, he's in the net next game.
I didn't mean it. Look out, there's another bounce that almost went to the Canucks' way. And in behind the play, Jannik Hansen is very slow to get up. He is favoring his left leg as he limps to the Vancouver Canuck bench. The Canucks already have a very long list of injuries, and now Hansen is wincing over there on the bench.
Collision behind the net. As he makes his way to the bench. Right there, he trips and goes hard into the boards. You can see right away that right leg.
Just steps on
the left leg,
stick.
sorry. And yes, steps on the stick, but stays down and then battles to get up and get to that bench. But just not good for the Vancouver Canucks. He's in a lot of pain at the bench.
Jannik Hansen, who was 4th in team scoring for the Canucks last season, had a bit of a dry spell like many Canuck forwards have. He's got 1 goal and an assist in his last 17 games. This one goes down the ice. We're just getting official word right now from the Canadians that Michael Bournival will not return tonight. Upper body injury is what they are saying. We will not hazard a guess, but he did get hit with a stick right in the chin. And he had that glassy-eyed look leaving the ice. Here's a chance, loose puck for Daniel Sedin, trying to walk out in front. And the puck rolled away from him to Diaz. Final seconds now, this Vancouver power play, the too many men call against Montreal. Vancouver has really not been able to get any traction with this man advantage, Jamie. Desharnais is out of the box. Team's back at even strength. Comes free for Kessler. Kessler throws it back out in front. Reaching up for it is Diaz. Diaz now lost his footing, and here comes Desharnais. He's got Plekanec with him. In. Plekanec back up. Throws it in front. They believe that one goes off of Edler and in. And it's 4-1.
John Tortorella can just look to the skies on this. It's a turnover in the neutral zone. 2-on-1. Right here. Now Desharnais, Plekanec off to the races. Little saucer pass back door, and Edler ends up kicking it in his own net with his right skate. A sign of how things have gone for him all season long. No chance for Roberto Luongo on this play again, as the Canadians continue to pressure the Vancouver Canucks. But good puck movement here by Desharnais and Plekanec, and they've got a stranglehold on this game.
And here comes Desharnais in again. He's tripped up. Luongo makes the save, and you know what? If they're giving out a penalty shot for, you know what, that's a penalty shot.
100%.
We should be seeing another one, but we're not going to. It is going to be a Montreal power play when we come back. The Canadians have got control of this one now. Well, 2 nights ago, Max Pacioretty, Jamie, had no shots against the Flames. He's been involved in this one tonight.
He's been all over the ice. And great players find ways to get open, and then the puck follows you around. Yes, you had a couple tough goes here on the penalty shots, but it's about using his speed to create those penalty shots. And then a couple nice plays. Subban with the initial shot towards the net that redirects off him, and Desharnais puts it on a team trip. Max Pacioretty has been all over the ice. A great storyline for the Montreal Canadiens tonight. He could have 4 goals.
Desharnais has 2 assists. Thomas Plekanec has the last goal, his 17th of the season, as he's creeping back towards that 20-goal mark, which he used to hit routinely at 5 consecutive 20-goal seasons. At 1 point. Montreal power play in effect. Oh, I beg your pardon. No, there was no call on that last flurry. My mistake. That looked like...
it's not a mistake by you, believe me. It's a mistake by the referee, because if they were handing out a penalty shot on Alex Burrows on that last penalty shot by Pacioretty, that certainly looked to me like a clear-cut play that was uncalled.
And a night that looked like was going to start turning back towards Roberto Luongo, and the Canucks has now gotten away from them as they trail by 3. And this team just doesn't score enough these days to get back in. I mean, nothing's impossible at this point, but it's based on how they've played of late. They are staring at 6 straight losses as they start making something happen here quickly. Here comes Daniel Sedin. No goals in 17. Toe drag in. Can't get a shot away. In front. Price is down. Trying to cover up, and the puck squirts loose near side. Corrado trying to get around Rene Bourque. Montreal's had a lot of odd-man rushes in the last half of the game, haven't they?
They've pushed the pace up, and the Vancouver Canucks D can't sustain it. They can't handle it.
And here's a big reason why. They're missing a lot of guys on their blue line and up front.
A lot of guys getting banged up in this game. Very physical. On the boards, all over the ice. Gionta down. Douglas Murray with a block. He's helped off. He ends up coming back. Bourneval gets a stick in the face. He's helped off. It's been a rough game for both sides.
Edler fan of the dump in, and now he draws his mates offside. Alex Edler, who comes into tonight, Jamie, minus 19. And we talked to John Tortorella prior to the game. He says, I'm not really a big plus-minus guy. He says, but when you're minus 19, you got to be wearing some of that. And he says, yes, Edler has struggled.
He has to wear it. They look to him for leadership on the back end. And he has so much ability. But when you're not playing well and things aren't going well, it just seems to spiral downward. And that's kind of where Alex Edler is right now.
This time he cleanly dumps that puck in. Price out of his net to stop it. Hands it off to Piqué. Piqué up the boards. Kessler tries to fire it back in. Edler towards the net softly, but it gets there. Here's Hansen, who's back out there after he was hurt his last shift. Quick shot and a save by Price. PK with the outlet pass to Thomas Buchanan. Suchi on the cross-ice pass for Briere, and he had it knocked away by Ryan Kessler. Here's Higgins. He'll just throw this one down the ice, and back to get it is Josh Georges. Briere trying to one-timer, gets it back, and in his second attempt, missed Gionta, and goes down the ice. You know, to finish the story on Alex Edler, he is headed over to Sochi to play for Team Sweden. He was a member of the gold medal winning team for Sweden at the last World Championship. But in the quarterfinal against Canada, he got a major for kneeing and a game misconduct on Eric Stahl. Knocked Eric Stahl right out, really did some damage to his knee. So he was suspended for the semifinal and the gold game. And then the IIHF Discipline Committee added 2 games to it. So he's going to miss the first 2 games of the Olympics against the Czechs and the Swiss. Those are not easy games.
No, and as he should. That was an egregious hit. You have to think of Eric Stahl's season. Started slowly because he had the knee surgery, and that was all due to Alex Edler with the knee-on-knee hit.
Here's Kassian now. Zach Kassian steps into the line, fires a shot, long range, handled by Price. Back in over the line, Desharnais had the puck knocked off his stick, and Pacioretty sweeps it back in. 2 goals, along with over 2 of the penalty shots. Now, Luongo was upended in behind the play. And a penalty call coming up against Montreal, as Luongo was slow to get up, and another one of those nights for Roberto here in his hometown.
It's going to be on Brendan Gallagher. Clips him a little bit as Roberto Luongo plays the puck, catches him with a skate.
Vancouver power play coming up when we come back to the Canadiens on TSN. Back at the Bell Center, Max Pacioretty front center tonight. Here with more is Jessica.
Max Pacioretty will have a pretty good idea what to expect when he heads to Sochi in a few days. His wife is from Russia, and he's been to Moscow quite a few times to visit her family. But don't expect her to be there to be his translator. She will stay home with their newborn son. His parents will make the trip, and he recently found out that he'll be roommates with Justin Falk of the Carolina Hurricanes.
You know, there's been a lot of talk about security concerns, and that is reason for that, but a lot of the players I've spoken to, I'm sure you're the same, are very excited about the opportunity coming up. Edler with a blast, that hit Murray in front as the power play is in effect for the Canucks. Gallagher with a trip there on Luongo before he headed a break. Look at that backdoor play to Edler, and a great save there by Price.
Great read by Carey Price to get across through the seam on Alex Edler. Edler gets a pretty good shot away. Kessler puts it on a tee for him, but Price loads up and explodes across. Good presence of mind to know that there is that option as he looks around Alex Burrows and makes a terrific save on Edler.
32 saves for Carey Price with 8:10 to go here in the 3rd period. Montreal's final game prior to the Olympic break will be Saturday night in Raleigh against the Carolina Hurricanes. And here's Sedin out of the corner, puts it back for Diaz. Diaz back to Daniel Sedin, down low. They got Burrows out in front, bouncing puck. He is dumped. Puck is cleared to the line, not out. Diaz, Sedin, that pass misses Kessler, and then bounce right out in front where it's cleared by Montreal, but they're running around here. Vancouver to Edler. Edler shoots, scores! Alex Edler post and in. Power play goal, and it's 4-2.
Edler makes up for the one he put into his net with a nice strong play off the wall. He snaps this off the post on Carey Price. Price doesn't get a look at it whatsoever because Alex Burrows is right in front of him, but pop play down to Edler. He takes a little bit of ice for himself. Douglas Murray running a screen, trying to block that shot, but it goes around Murray, and you can see Alex Edler in front, Burrows in front of Carey Price, and it goes off the post, and a nice shot by Edler as he picks the corner.
Edler's 5th goal of the season, his 2nd on the power play. He had 5 power play goals, Jamie, last season, which was 1st on the team and 4th amongst NHL defensemen in the shortened season.
That's what they expect from him. Strong offensive play in situations where he can make a difference.
It's interesting to note as well that Jason Garrison is not on the first power play unit right now. A personnel decision made by John Tortorella to try to get him a little bit, I don't know, settled down.
Light a fire under him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a given. You do have a shot where you can put the puck through the net, and he is a specialist as far as that one-timer, but I mean, your play isn't very good. You're not rewarded with power play time.
As Corrado puts it towards the net, and a great save on the tip in front. Off the stick of Booth, and Price snares it with his glove.
Great save by Carey Price in front of the redirection. David Booth gets available with the tip right here, and then it pops up, but Carey Price reads it, and he calmly grabs it out of the air. Now there is some traffic in front, but Price in good position, no threat whatsoever, and he makes it look easy.
Here's Burrows again, wins the puck battle in the corner, cycles it back in behind the net. There's Sedin, tries to get it in front. Schrader was waiting for it, but once again, Price covers up. Edler with the last goal for Vancouver, with the assist going to Rafael Diaz, by the way. So that's a goal and an assist in a couple of games for Diaz for his new team.
Getting an expanded role, Diaz, and getting a good look. John Tortorella told us that he was very happy with his work last game, and you can see Diaz is settled in and he's getting some important minutes, especially on that first power play. We talked about Garrison being sat down on that first power play. You've got Edler and Diaz, a right and left-handed shot. See how that looks.
23-year-old Jordan Schrader will be 23 on the weekend. His sixth game back in action. He had a nice little return on January 27th, scoring 2 goals against the Edmonton Oilers, which was his first game in the NHL since October. Looking for a little offensive punch from a guy who was drafted in the first round, 22nd overall by Vancouver in 2009.
They're looking for anything out of a guy like Alex Burrows, who hasn't scored this season. And a lot of his game is being strong in front of the net, being a bit of an agitator, getting involved physically. But it's tough to do when you're banged up. You have to wear that jaw protector because you can't really get engaged physically, because if somebody gives you a punch in the yap, you have to back that up. You can't do that when you're protecting your jaw. You can see that that's trickled right down into his game.
From just outside the Montreal area is Alex Burrows. Broke his foot in the season opener, missed 4 weeks, then broke his jaw, missed another 7 weeks. It has been a tough go for a guy who's been pretty reliable playing with the Sedins over the years in Vancouver. He's waiting for the loose puck to emerge, and it goes to Dale Weiss. Weiss at center. Chips it around Sauve, or tried to, and he goes hard in against Corrado. Now Weiss on the loose puck. In for Gianta. Gianta now cycles it back for Weiss in behind the Vancouver net. Under 6 minutes to go in a 4-2 game. Both Vancouver's goals have come on the power play. An area that has been really struggling for the Canucks to sail. Now Higgins on the turnover, leaves it for Hansen. His drive stopped by Price, and he throws it down on the ice. Says, is that all you got? Carey Price playing very confident, and it's 4-2 Montreal. Back in Montreal, Jamie, a lot of eyes on both netminders tonight. What do you think of Roberto Luongo's evening?
Well, he's given them an opportunity to win. And people are going to focus on, yes, the 4 goals against. That one, I believe he had to own, Ryan Weitz, but a couple backdoor plays. Defenseman puts it into your own net. You can't really lay fault on Roberto Luongo, who has stopped 2 penalty shots in this game, but a lot of times this is where stats can lie, because it's the quality of shots and the chances that you get against you. And when you look at this game, it hasn't been that lopsided. Carey Price has been terrific. He deserves a ton of credit, but Roberto Luongo's been very strong as well.
Luongo stopped 2 penalty shots and a great save on a 2-on-1 shorthanded rush by the Canadiens in the second period. Here's Higgins now, creating some room for himself. Throws it out in front. Kessler with a shot, and another stop by Price.
That's good work down low by the Vancouver Canucks. As you can see, Kessler gets available in that slot, but Price gets a good push out. He's in great position. Good work behind the net by Higgins to find Kessler. There's some traffic in front of Price, but look at the positioning. He's at the top of his blue paint, and there's no rebound as it hits him in the crest, and he just makes it look easy. And the Vancouver Canucks having a tough time putting the puck in the net. Well, Price has had the answer.
A lot of teams say that lately.
Yeah, it's true.
Over the last 4 starts coming into action tonight, Price had 2 shutouts, a 0.99 goals against, and a save percentage of .970. So these guys were well aware that they were going to be challenged tonight to score.
And they're kissing up on 40 shots on him tonight, so 39 shots. He's looked very solid, in control. No danger around his net.
Here's Kassian now, his drive, reaches the net, and there is 40 shots. Comes free for Gallagher. Gallagher races away. Pacioretty gets in there to catch up. Floats it in for Pacioretty, and he just tipped it wide, looking for the hat trick. Here's Desharnais now. David Desharnais. Gallagher out of the corner. Back and forth he goes on Richardson. Look at Gallagher back and forth to his left and his right. He's still got it. Now Pacioretty comes in to help out to draw that loose, and it does to Kassian. Kassian tries to force his way to the zone, but it's knocked right back in there by the Canadiens. Back to Jason Garrison.
Well, Kassian did a good job on the back check on Pacioretty, who had an option on the back door. Kassian got underneath the stick at the last second.
Here's Jordan Schrader. Took Evelyn wide, and they feed the puck to the back end. Diaz with a shot and an easy glove save there by Price, who hangs on.
Max Pacioretty having a night. You talk about you create your own chances out here. Well, his speed and skill has helped that. He's had a couple nice looks with the puck. One on a tee by David Desharnais on the back door, but you don't get those penalty shots without pushing the pace up. And that's what he'll need to do in Sochi. Use that speed and skill.
Edler pushes it out in front. That's knocked back into the corner with 4 minutes to go here. Sedin keeps the puck in. Gionta takes over from there. Got it up to Brandon Prost. Edler, who scored the last goal for the Canucks. Back there now with Diaz. That pass into the middle, tipped in by Burrows. And on Price, and once again, he will hang on. There are now officially 41 shots on the shot counter here. The last time, Jamie, the Canadiens surrendered 40 shots back in October, or beg your pardon, back in January in Ottawa, January 16th. And remember how good Price that was that night in a wild 5-4 win.
He was the best player on the ice and gave up 4 goals. Put a show on. He was the only guy, from talking to people in the fan base and on the team, that really showed up for the Canadiens that night.
A 5-4 win with an overtime winner scored by the other Canadian Olympian with the Canadiens, PK Subban.
With the controversial jersey tug that everyone talked about for a couple days afterwards.
You didn't like the Selly?
I didn't mind it. I think there were a lot of other guys in the league who didn't appreciate it.
That shot angled up and out of play with 3.5 to go. So the Montreal Canadiens lost 4 in a row. They had a 4-game losing streak, outscored 19-5. Possibly their lowest point of the season was on January 25th, a Saturday night against the Washington Capitals, in which they lost 5-0. They were being outshot at one point 24-3. And they've turned it around since then, 3-1-1. In their last stretch of games, points in 4 of their last 5, and 3.5 minutes away from getting 2 more points here tonight against the Canucks. Buzzing around here, Subban tries to settle that puck down. He gets it to Eller. Eller at center. Into the line, he drops it off for Bork. Here's Rudy Bork, moves in. His shot blocked by Corrado. And that one's poked around. Subban, who got just enough of Higgins, but picking it up on the fly there is Richardson. Brad Richardson centers it out, was looking for Hansen. Good defensive stick there by Lars Eller. Hansen, who was shaken up earlier in this period, appears to be all right. Edler back in towards the net. Knocked down by Murray and flipped out.
Strong play by Weiss, Eller defensively, and then Douglas Murray blocking that shot.
42 shots. This is just the 5th time all season long that the Canadiens have surrendered 40 goals. In this, their 58th game. And Vancouver got 40 plus on them back in October as well. So, all right, beg your pardon, I said 40 goals. I meant 40 shots.
We all knew what you were talking about. Roberto Luongo was pulled here for the extra attacker, as John Tortorella's going to try and outnumber the Canadiens and see if he can try and generate that 3rd goal.
So Luongo is on the bench. Face off one back to Sedin. Sedin to Edler. Edler's shot in, and Price holds his ground. Makes another save.
Right now, the mindset of the Vancouver Canucks has to be get as much rubber as they've been doing towards Carey Price and generate rebounds and second chances. That's how you're going to beat him, because if he sees it, he stops it. He's locked in that much. It's going to be about net front's presence and hunger in front to try and get an ugly one on him.
Platanus against Kessler on the draw. Controlled by the Canadiens to the line, not out, knocked down by Edler. He gets it back into the corner for Burrows, who sends it out in front, goes right across the goal mouth. Schrader puts it back over for Daniel Sedin. Back to Alex Edler, one-time blast there by Kessler into traffic. Schrader down low for Burrows. He takes a swipe at it. This is off a body. It's still not out. Sedin in front, and that just meant Burrows out in front, and Price cut off the angle again on Higgins. Vancouver coming close here. Entire Canadiens legs on the ice right now. Edler with a blast. Loose puck. To the line again, not out. Schrader keeps it in. Now here's Edler. Edler puts it to open ice around the boards. It goes. Waiting for it in the corner is Daniel Sedin. Here's Kessler. Out in front over the stick of Higgins. And finally, Montreal able to get it outside the line. Edler quickly turns it back up the ice for Schrader. It is Kessler. Kessler tries to cut in. Still with it. Lost the handle. And now Emelin, with room to operate, just makes the safe play and just barely gets it out. Pacioretty to the net. Scores! Max Pacioretty with his 3rd of the night. And that will do it.
It's only fitting that he gets the hat trick just based on the talk of him missing a couple penalty shots earlier on in the game, but it's just good work, not only by Carey Price, but the whole group, 5-man units. We're tired and we're trapped in their own zone with some sustained pressure with the Vancouver Canucks. But what was so impressive about it was they kept everything to the outside. You protect that house area. You can see just desperation on the puck. Emelin tries a little flick play. It ends up getting picked off right here at the point, but popped out. Pacioretty slides it through and gets his hat-trick goal.
3rd career hat-trick for Max Pacioretty. He's got 26 goals on the season now. His 2nd hat-trick this season. He had one back in November against the Minnesota Wild. Remember that night when the Canadiens were struggling?
Yeah.
And they needed an offensive explosion, and they got one that night in this building against the Wild. And Pacioretty led the way there with 3, and he's got 3 here tonight.
The only surprise for me is there's only like 1 or 2 hats on the ice. Like usually fans will litter the ice with hats, but want to keep their hat. If they're a Habs fan, obviously they want to save their hats, not spend the money and throw them on the ice, I guess.
I never understood that. I think I would have always regretted that if I'd thrown my hat that I didn't really wear to the game. Here's Sport coming back in for the Canadiens, looking for more. Bork in front, looking for Eller. and he was tied up in front of the net. Final minute now. Montreal is going to pick up 2 more very valuable points heading into that Olympic break. The Vancouver Canucks are going to lose 6 in a row now for the first time in 15 seasons. They have not lost 6 in a row since the 98-99 season. They did that twice. Those were some dark seasons for the Canucks back then.
Well, it's dark times for the Canucks right now, and John Tortorella, we've seen his frustrated face behind the bench a few times tonight. As he's looked at his guys to wonder what he needs to do to get this group into that win column.
Tonight was billed as a marquee matchup between Canada's top 2 netminders for Sochi, Roberto Luongo and Carey Price. It's only one night. Luongo didn't have a whole lot of help around him, but tonight the nod goes to Carey Price. 5-2 final.
As you see, Max Pacioretty, who gets the hat trick. John Tortorella not happy as his team loses 6 in a row. But the Canadians did a very good job tonight, even though they gave up a lot of shots. Found a way to win. Keep the group spirited as they continue to roll along heading into this Olympic break. And the Vancouver Canucks, it's ugly for them right now.
Well, this is Montreal's last home game in a while. There's going to be some guys heading over to Russia, and they won't be back here to play for a few weeks. So they leave on a winning note, and they've got it going on right now. One more game before the Olympic break. 5-2 is the final tonight.